are the same.
Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting, March 5th, 2024. We'll start with the prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for the direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be the good for our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Council Yam.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Dakota. Council Getchia.
Here.
Council Janess. Council Leahy.
Here.
Council Mercia.
Here.
Council Noon.
Here.
Council Robinson.
Here.
Council Rourke.
Here.
Council Scott.
Here.
9 present.
Moments of silence. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for two extraordinary people. Donald McGillicuddy, 56. He passed away suddenly and unexpectedly following a medical event while refereeing a high school basketball game in Watertown on Friday evening. He was the fiancé of Nancy Walsh, who was the love of his life. Don was born in Lowell, the son of the late Dolores Dolly Plud McGillicuddy and Paul Pilato Sr., who survives him. He attended Lowell schools and was a graduate of the Greater Lowell Tech. Donnie was a maintenance supervisor with the Lowell Housing Authority, a job he loved, with the people he loved working with. Don enjoyed being involved with youth sports, especially baseball, basketball, and football. He was a volunteer coach for many years in the neighborhood he grew up in and also in the Acre. He was proud to coach his son Wayne from a young age. He was also one of the founding coaches of Lowell Junior High Football League. When his son Wayne became a college football coach, Don couldn't have been more prouder and was there to watch and support his son's endeavors. Don loved his family, and there wasn't anything he wouldn't do for them. His daughter was his hero and his son's idol. He was the greatest grandpa in the world to Oliviana. Lowell ran proud in Don's blood. He was a proud Lowellian and gave back to his city and community in many ways. He volunteered for everything and could never say no to anyone who asked him something of him. While his death was sudden and without warning, his memory will live on in many ways through his family and all the good work he did for so many throughout his life. Surviving Don are his children, Erica de Jesus and her husband, Miguel, and his son, Wayne McGillicuddy, and his wife, Julia. His only grandchild, Oliviana de Jesus, his fiancée, Nancy Walsh, and her children, Julianne and John, his Paul Pilato Sr., his father, his siblings, Mary Pilato Silva and her husband, Mike, Paul Pilato Jr., and Albert McGillicuddy and his wife, Lisa. Don was the brother of the late Teresa, Joe, and Cindy McGillicuddy. Donnie also leaves his family from Long Meadow, the IAABO, and the Lowell Housing Authority. He will be truly missed. And I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Rita Ramallo, beloved wife, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. Mrs. Ramallo was born and raised in Lowell. She was one of 13 children. For over 3 decades, Rita committed herself to her role as an outreach worker at the Lowell Senior Center. She took immense pride in her work, especially teaching an aerobics class where she inspired and uplifted countless individuals within her community. Her greatest passion was her education to serving others. Rita's life was defined by her unwavering devotion to her family. She was the loving wife of Arthur Ramallo, who preceded her in death, and in 2019, following nearly 65 years of marriage. Together, they built a beautiful family and shared a lifetime of cherished memories. Left to honor Rita's memory are her children, Arthur Ramallo Jr. and his wife, Julie, Dave Ramallo, Susan Keefe and her husband, Francis, Catherine Trask and her husband, Michael, and Joseph Ramallo Sr. She is also survived by a legacy of 18 grandchildren, 33 great-grandchildren, and several great-great-grandchildren. In addition to her husband, Arthur, Rita was predeceased in death by her daughter, the late Patricia Baez, as well as her 12 siblings. She was a great lady. We offer our sympathy to her family, relatives, and many friends. And last, we also offer a moment of silence and darkened chamber to all those who passed away since our last city council meeting. May they all rest in peace. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Robert D. Riley, age 51, a resident of the Lowell Highlands section, passed away at Lowell General Hospital on Monday, February 26, 2024, surrounded by his loving family. He was born in Lowell on December 2nd, 1972, and was the beloved son of Diane M. Boland Patty and the late Robert F. Riley. He was the stepson of Anthony B. Patty. Robert was raised in Pelham, New Hampshire, and graduated from Nashua High School in 1992. Rob was employed by Coca-Cola for 23 years and then worked at Greater Lowell Technical High School in plant services, where he was admired by the students and staff. Rob was an avid Boston Celtics fan. His greatest joy was walking his beloved dog, Lily. In addition to his mother, Robert is survived by his sisters, Erin E. Riley and Elizabeth S. Riley, both of Nashua, New Hampshire, and his longtime girlfriend, Lindsay Von Ma, along with her two daughters, Cassandra Mercedes and her granddaughter, Kaylani, all of Lowell, Mass. He will be truly missed.
Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. I'd like to offer a moment of silence for John W. Crane. John W. Crane, 83, of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, but for many years was a resident of Lowell, Mass. and Rye Beach. Passed away peacefully on Thursday, February 22nd, at the Medical Center of University of South Carolina in Charlestown, South Carolina, after a brief illness. Well-known member of the Greater Lowell community, John was a retired co-owner and operator of O'Donnell Funeral Home in Lowell, Mass., Pelham Funeral Home in Pelham, New Hampshire, for many years. John's life was dedicated to service, starting with his time in the U.S. Navy. He was also honored to be appointed to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Board of Funeral Directors and Embalming from 1988 to 93. John also served as the Massachusetts Funeral Directors Association president from 2000 to 2001. He was the loving husband for over 58 years of Patricia Pat O'Donnell Crane, who survives him. In addition to his wife Pat, John is survived by his son Chip Crane and his wife Kimberly of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, his daughter Catherine Holleran, her husband Frank of Westfield, New Jersey, and his son Stephen and his wife Kelly of Rye Beach, New Hampshire. He also has 8 grandchildren. He'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I have two myself. First, Lorraine Rodriguez passed away peacefully on March 4th, 2024, surrounded by her loving family. She was a resident of Pelham, New Hampshire, formerly of Lowell, Mass. She was 76 years old. From a young age, she exhibited remarkable determination and perseverance. She put herself through computer programming school while working full-time and raising a family. Her dedication paved the way for a successful career, retiring after 35 years at the Lowell Sun as a computer systems manager. After retiring, Lorraine found solace and joy at her lake house in Pelham, New Hampshire, where she not only cherished moments with her family, but also served as the epitome of strength and resilience as the matriarch of her family. Lorraine was predeceased by her beloved husband of 42 years, Joseph Rodriguez, her parents Leo and Jean Levine, and her sister Claire Levine. Lorraine's family was her greatest pride and joy. She leaves behind a legacy of love and strength. She is survived by her loving daughters, Kimberly and Lorenza, and her husband, Michael Lorenza, and Deborah Ruffage and her husband, Joseph Ruffage. Her grandchildren will forever be her memory. Robert J. Gignac and his wife, Alyssa Gignac, Dylan Harriman, and Mitchell Ruffage, as well as the great-grandchildren, Ashton Cruz, Kennedy Gignac, and Grant Gignac of Lowell, Mass. And lastly this evening, a moment of silence at docket chambers for Staff Sergeant Carlos D. Dickey. Staff Sergeant Carlos D. Dickey, United States Army 3rd Battalion, 67th Armored Regiment, age 29. A former Lowell resident, passed away unexpectedly on February 13th, 2024, while stationed at Fort Stewart in Georgia, where he resided. He was a husband of Chelsea Blaker Dickey, who was his high school sweetheart. He was born on February 28, 1994 in Lowell, the son of the late Brian K. Dickey and Maria Ayala Pena of Lowell. He was raised and educated here in Lowell, and he graduated from high school in Williamsburg, Pennsylvania. Immediately after his graduation, he and Chelsea were married, and he enlisted in the United States Army. He quickly moved through the ranks in the Army and was referred to as an excellent soldier by his superior officers. He was a tanker with the 3rd Battalion, 67th Armored Regiment. He also achieved his rank of Staff Sergeant very quickly by Army standards. Among his accomplishments, he received awards for 4 Army Achievement Medals, Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, 2 Army NCO Professional Development Ribbons, Army Service Ribbon, and Army Overseas Service. Carlos served at Fort Stewart, Georgia. It was in the 6.8 CAV as a scout drive, tank crewman loader, and a gunner in Armored Company B, 3rd Battalion, 67th Armored Regiment, 2nd Brigade, as a tank crewman, loader, and commander. Pokey, as he was affectionately known by his family and those who loved him, had a goofy side too to those who loved him and knew him. May he rest in peace. Mr. Clerk, more silence. Dr. Chivers, please. May they all rest in peace. Back to the agenda. Mayor's Business 2.1, Communication Remote Zoom Participation. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Chow, second by Councilor Getchia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 2.2 on the Mayor's Business. Tonight, we are here to recognize the Lowell High School Girls Wrestling Team, MIAA All-State Champions. The girls' team won every event they entered this year. Dual meets, tournaments, all-star matches, and state tournaments. This is a new sport at Lowell High School. This girls' only wrestling team is the first to win the state title. We have our captains here this evening, as well as our coach, Coach Nick Logan. Just say a few words, and after you're done, if every member of the team could just step to the mic and say your name, that'd be great. Coach?
Hi, I'm Nick Logan, head wrestling coach at Lowell High School. Just wanted to introduce our girls wrestling team. We had 13 girls come out for the team this year. Like the mayor said, we won every event that was entered this year. The Mahar Regional Tournament, the Timberlane Invitational, the D1 State Tournament, the Boston All-Star Duel, and the Mass All-States. Girls, you can each come up and just say your name, please.
I'm Safira Sao, and I'm a sophomore. I'm Maya Calderon, I'm a junior.
I'm Amada Mandel, I'm a junior.
I'm Amelia Martinez, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Elizabeth Guthrie, and I'm a junior.
I'm Ariana Irizarry, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Gianna Zayas, and I'm a freshman.
I'm Jenelise Fortunato, and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Ratana Vatay Eun, I'm junior.
I'm Ava Penn King, and I'm a sophomore.
Awesome. Girls, once again, tremendous season. I know how the work that has to be put into, especially a sport like wrestling, made Lowell very proud. Thank you once again. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 13 young women. I'm so very, very proud to be a woman today to say congratulations to each and every one of you. How amazing. And your coach is beaming. You should, because look at how tremendous they are. Let me tell you a little story quickly. I appreciate what you're going through and what you went through because my son was a wrestler as well. And he used to put me in a double arm bar and a half Nelson and the cradle. I know all the terms, but I couldn't get out of it. If I had your training, that would have never happened. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
Once again, thank you very much, Coach. We'll look forward to seeing you again next year, right? All right, take care. Moving on, Section 3, City Clerk. 3.1, minutes of the City Council regular meeting, February 27th. A motion for accept and place on file by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Noon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Section 4, City Council motions. 4.1, Councilor Scott requests City Manager have the opera team provide a quarterly update to the Finance Subcommittee on opera spending and project updates. Seconded by Councilor Yem. Councilor Scott.
Motion speaks for itself.
Excellent. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.2, Councilor Robinson requests City Manager explore the creation of a voluntary DPW Public Health Department syringe response team to enhance current efforts. Seconded by Councilor Nunes. Councilor Robinson.
This was brought up before. It's something that I know at least 1705 is familiar with, a proposal, so it's something that I'd like to see, if possible, if there's still interest. Thank you.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.3, Councilor Robinson requests City Manager have the proper department provide an update on the potential restoration of the historic Lowell Sunshine. Second by Councilor Mercia. Councilor Robinson.
Motion speaks for itself. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you. If I could add on to that motion and an update for the Spaghettiville Bridge, please. That's a historic sign in the city.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Great. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.4, Councilor Robinson and Councilor Mercia request City Manager have the proper department work with the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group and the Monument Committee to identify a location and install a monument acknowledging Anne Marie and Bob Page's lifelong contributions to our neighborhoods. No second needed. Councilor Mercia, Councilor Robinson.
Do we have any registered speakers on that? No. If I could make a motion to suspend the rules to allow, we have two residents of Centerville here, and I think they might be interested in saying a couple words.
It depends who it is. Motion by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes.
Don't be shy, George.
That's right, yes.
You know I'm shy. Hi, good evening. My name is George Prokop. I'm president of the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group. When I first moved into the area, there was someone came knocking at the door with cookies, and it was Miss Anne Marie Page. She said, "Welcome to the neighborhood, and we have a neighborhood group that I'd like you to come to." 20-something years later, here I am. But Bob and Anne Marie, they are the epitome of what it means to be a good neighbor and being a good neighbor in the city of Lowell. I think that they've spread and they've shared their values, their beliefs, and their wealth of knowledge, for the city. And as I've lived with them, next to them for so many years, I've just seen that the unit that they have as a family, as a neighborhood leader, as a business owner, and the countless contributions that they've made throughout the years, I just feel that it was an important step to take because they are the epitome of what it is to be a Lowellian. And I want to thank Councilor Robinson for making this motion. I was pleasantly surprised, and I don't know if they're watching. If you're watching, Mr. and Mrs. Page, hello, because I didn't tell them about this motion tonight. So I'll probably get hit when I get home, but it's all right. But thank you very much, for your efforts in making this come to fruition. Thank you.
Thanks. Go. All set? Great. Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no surprise or secret about ordinary people who go above and beyond their means to do extraordinary things, such as Anne Marie and Bob Page. They look for nothing in return. They give of their time, their energy, their skills, and they make this city a better place by their involvement. They are the eyes and ears of their neighborhood and the heart of their piece of the rock in their section of the city of Lowell, Centerville. Bob, who took care of the center island in front of CVS and the VFW hall. Bob Page, who led the charge for the Lowell Veterans Council and the Veterans of St. Louis. Any veteran issue, Bob was right on it. Anne Marie Page, founder and past president for many, many years of CNAG, the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group, former president of the citywide neighborhood council, having neighborhood cleanups, candidates nights, as well as being a brownie leader, CCD teacher, a former president of the Holy Sodality of St. Michael's Church. She also volunteered for Suitability, which provided support services, appropriate interviews, and work clothing to low-income women. And why not? She's a Notre Dame girl. Anne Marie and her husband, Robert, have been married for 56 years. They have, I know they have 5 children. I don't know, I think 11 grandchildren. Maybe there's more now. I didn't count. They both still found the time to give back to the city with a family that large. For all the wonderful and thoughtful deeds, hard work, and devotion these 2 individuals have done for the neighborhood and the residents to make their piece of the rock in Lowell more vibrant, more safe, and more appealing. This motion is a slam dunk for approval. Thank you, and God bless Anne Marie and Bob Page. We love you. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I first met the Pages while employed by the city of Lowell in the Parks Department. And I just remember, like, asking, who are these people that we're constantly going to Centerville on different projects to work with? I didn't know. I had just started. I think I was around early 20s. Years later, when I moved to Centerville, that between the Pages and Conrad Gauthier, they were Centerville. I mean, all the projects, again, that went on in that area, they spearheaded it. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. That's a quote from Muhammad Ali. Sometimes in life, we wait too long to show appreciation or give flowers to those that have had positive impacts on our lives, our neighborhoods, or our communities. If we consider Muhammad Ali's quote, these 2 neighbors would have overpaid credit for a few generations to come. For many years, it was neighborhood activists that raised the bar in sections of the city that lacked consistent representation from that section. It's my honor to work with Councilor Mercia and the rest of this council and this administration and the neighborhood group to give flowers where they're due, or show the appreciation and recognition that these residents, our neighbors, have put in lifelong dedication to service to their community and to others. So thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.5, Councilor Yam requests city manager have appropriate department work with the owner and designer of 355 Market Street to incorporate solar panels to the outdoor shade seating areas in the design. Seconded by Councilor Noon. Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, the Historical Board approved the construction of permanent outdoor seating and landscaping on the asphalt paved parking lot at 355 Market Street, which is, you can see to my left out the windows, that are being used by Nevada Cafe and Tasty Dumpling. It is a temporary seating right now. The project was created to attract urban space with permanent seatings, landscaping for both businesses. And I just want to show you the picture, and then if can move on to the design that was designed. You see the seating area, the roof, and all of that. And I was just wondering if we can incorporate a solar panel on the roof of those outdoor seating, the shaded area, similar to the picture that I will be showing the next slide. So this way, the next one, the solar panel that will be in the next picture, please. See, this is the design that was right now currently. So I'm wondering if you can incorporate the roof similar to the next pictures. That's a solar panel there that providing a charging station, and then for nighttime, maybe tasting summertime, tasty dumpling have clients that will also providing lighting to the picture in the next slide, similar to this picture. So that's just a thought. If we could incorporate that, that would be great. Thank you.
Any other comments? Just a quick question. Would this be something, Mr. Manager, maybe can do a grant for all businesses that may be interested in doing it instead of just singling out one particular business? Legal purposes, maybe?
It's something we could look into. This particular project was funded through a grant with the TDI program, but there may be other grant resources available for interested businesses, either downtown or in our neighborhoods.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.6, Council Noon requests Housing Subcommittee convene meeting regarding motion responses for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for discussion and recommendations to the City Council. Seconded by Councilor Yam. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did file this motion a number of years back. I know the report somewhere there. It just need to be sent to the Housing Subcommittee. We just heard from the DPD Director, Giovanni Rose, about the Lowell Forward Master Plan and encouraged that the adoption of that. So there's about approximately 98 community in the Commonwealth that have adopted the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So the Affordable Housing Trust Fund can do is provide financial support for the construction of affordable home by private developer, nonprofit or for-profit. This also can rehabilitate existing home to convert it to affordable housing, increase affordabilities in new housing development project, and so on. So we need to discuss this as soon as we can, and maybe bring in the city and town that already develop it or adopt it. So move on that to meet what the Lowell Forward or Master Plan have recommend that we do. So thank you.
Those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.7, Councilor Noon, Councilor Getchia, Councilor Janess, request City Manager work with the Law Department to identify plans to address workman compensation backlog claims that need to be resolved. No second needed. Anyone?
I can start by saying this, Mr. Mayor, that we do have quite a bit of backlog in terms of the claim. So we need to have a plan forward as to how we, going to address it. So that's why I put it, the motion on. So maybe Councilor Kachias and others can speak to it. Thank you.
Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Just when you see the backlog of $1.9 million and we only budgeted a little over $1 million and we're in March of the same year, and I just wonder what the backlog is, and is there a way that we can reduce these costs while still performing the same type of work within? That's all. Thank you.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 4.8, Councilor Noon, Councilor Getchia, Councilor Janess, request City Manager reach out to the Department of Public Utilities, asking them to host a public hearing regarding the National Grid electric base rate case.
Is the registered speaker, Mr. Mayor?
Yep, Mr. Clerk.
Stephen Malagodi.
Good evening, everybody. Steve Malagodi, 200 Market Street, number 216 in beautiful downtown Lowell. Representing 350 Mass of Greater Lowell, we are your independent climate change and clean energy advocates based right here in town. We were kind of surprised that DPU would schedule public rate hearings in Lawrence, but not in Lowell. Granted, they are holding in-person hearings in other cities, as well as Lawrence, and an online-only virtual event on March 21st. But as the state's fifth largest city and a gateway city with a significant low-income population, one might reasonably expect that the citizens of Lowell would be considered as something more than chopped liver. So we're happy that several councilors have noticed this too and have brought this motion, which we support, of course, in the hopes that DPU will schedule one here in Lowell also, so that people would not have to negotiate the number 41 MIVA bus, though it's free to get from here to the hearing in Lawrence. This is actually, it turns out to be a very important hearing. We're at a pivotal place in this energy transition period. This particular round of hearings is important not for the rates, but for the rate structure. Everyone at National Grid, Eversource, the munis, elected officials know that the transition to clean energy and the modernization of the grid is a massive undertaking. The city manager is always reminding us of what the current grid cannot do. And this modernization is going to be expensive. The cost of this project is large, and for the most part, those costs are known. It's also widely understood that it has to be done, regardless of the cost. National Grids has just published their future grid plan document, and it calls for, quote, a network that supports the Commonwealth's climate, clean energy, and equity goals and delivers the fair, affordable, and clean energy transition for all our customers and communities, end quote. It's that equity issue that's in play. In the past, the cost burdens have fallen and continue to fall disproportionately on the working poor, who pay a greater proportion of their income for housing, transportation, and home energy than those of wealthier means, of course. This, as one speaker at this Saturday's Poor People's Campaign rally at the State House in Boston said, this is no longer acceptable. So what we must do in the face of an unavoidable expense is to adopt a progressive rate structure that takes into account the projected costs and distributes those costs in a fair and equitable manner across the social landscape. That's why we in 350 Mass are working to, that's what we are working to do. And this is why we're also at the forefront of the proposed polluters pay legislation, so that taxpayers are not the exclusive funders of the climate cleanup necessitated by the actions of the fossil fuel industry. But that's another discussion. In the meantime, we thank the councilors for bringing this motion in the simple interest of promoting a more democratic and fair social order. And just one more thing before I finish. Thank you, Jay Mason. Thank you.
Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with everything the speaker spoke of. But I just want to add to it that, you know, look, we are, as the speaker stated, we are the fifth largest, you know, in the Commonwealth. And, you know, they had one, they scheduled one for the 21st in Lawrence. I'm sure they scheduled for a couple at Boston and other area. We need to be heard because this is going to impact our residents as well. You know, this public hearing, you know, input of our resident is important as any other people input, especially the third largest, the fifth largest in the Commonwealth. Fairness requires that we urge the Department of Public Utility to host one hearing here so that our surrounding neighbors, city and town, can also partake in this discussion as well. Thank you.
Councilor Gitcha.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. In addition to that, when we talk about the working poor, or even the poor, we look at heat islands also, and then we look at the subsidies from the government. It would be in their best interest to try to look at this stuff because they're the ones subsidizing everything going forward, so we're taking one and giving to the other. So I think this is something that needs to be done, and I think people should understand the base for the rates, and I think this is a good motion, and if the manager could absolutely get this put together. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.9, Councilor Getchia, request city manager explore opportunities under Mass General Law 40M governmental units pooled insurance for the city to join a governmental units pooled insurance. Seconded by Councilor Robinson. Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor O'Rourke. All around government, we see how consortiums save a lot of money, and 40M is basically a consortium for many services, including workman's comp, insurances, and stuff like that. So I think it's just something that we can look in, and there's many communities that do this. Chelmsford's one. I believe Manager Cohen over there is the president of one of the groups that do this for municipalities, and I just think that there may be a big savings there. If not, then it's definitely worth the case of looking into. We looked into it on regular health insurance. I think consortiums do work as long, and the key to it is that now you have multiple disciplines of lawyers available, insurance adjusters. There's multiple different disciplines of it. So it's definitely in the best interest of a community to look into this type of thing. And I think the state legislature, when they did Chapter 40M, that was the intent of it, is to try to give smaller communities, but as it works out, even some of the larger communities that don't have the resources can look at it and see that there's multiple disciplines across the board that can be used in the best interest of the people. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. Through you, maybe to the manager. How is this different from the GFG? What are we in now? How? Oh, all right.
Mr. Manager?
What are you talking about? Oh, workers. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All set? Councilor Leahy? Yep, great. All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.10, Councilor Getchia requests city manager provide the city council with a list of all positions, full-time or part-time, currently funded with the ARPA funds and what the future plans for the positions. Seconded by Councilor Noon. Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor O'Rourke. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve here when we start looking at the opera money and its one-time funds and the end dates. And when you look at other communities and we're seeing the shortfalls in other surrounding communities, I just would like to see a list of the jobs that are actually funded through the opera and what our plans are once the opera money stops, so that we can start trying to look in and see what those investments are. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a great motion. You know that the funding is once in a lifetime, and we have a great ARPA fund manager. And without the staff, I mean, they've been doing an amazing job with the staff that's funded by the ARPA fund. They have done tremendous jobs, and all of us concerned a little bit. You know, we sort of feel that they really help carry the city moving forward through these funds, through to many organizations. So this would be a good report to come back and see how we can just forward thinking, as the make of the motion mentioned, to make sure that some of the staff that work so hard, they have a landing spot as well. Thank you.
Okay. Councilor Getchia, I'm going to steal this one and bring it to the school committee too, okay? All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.11, Councilor Leahy requests city manager reach out to the city council for input regarding upcoming FY25 budget. Second.
Used on what that means, just back and forth what we're looking for.
For 11?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no, I mean, the manager would normally reach out anyways, just want to put it on everybody's radar, basically, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
All in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. 4.12 has been withdrawn. 4.13, Councilor Chow, Mayor Rourke requests city manager work at the proper department to approve the use of the South Common as a practice facility for the Massachusetts Pirates Football Organization. No second needed. Councilor Chow. I'm sorry, register speaker, Mr. Clerk.
There is a register.
I'm sorry, register speaker, Mr. Clerk.
There is a register, Mr. Mayor. Jawad Yatam.
How you doing? Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it, and definitely excited to speak on this topic. First off, thank you, Mayor Rourke, Mr. Chow, Mr. Yim, Mr. Mom, Officer Fay, Officer Booth. These are the individuals I had spoken about this proposition 2, and it's nice to see it be brought to this point in time where we can present it to you all and hopefully make it happen. We are Lowell's team here. We are Lowell's professional football team, new to the city, and we want to do as much as we can in the city. As we have team vehicles, we can move around, but we don't really want to go outside of where we call home. So, and I am new to the city, and one of the first times I actually drove through the city, I looked at the field and I identified it, and I just thought to myself, it would be pretty cool to have that as our practice facility. Allow our guys to work within the city and work for the city as well, in terms of all the ancillary things that we can do at the South Common Park. Not just practice, but hold camps, hold youth initiatives. Sometimes you just need a purpose, and looking at that field and that facility, we could provide a purpose for that field, which would maybe put a little bit more of a spotlight on it, maybe direct maybe a little more initiative to it. We would certainly take pride in that field and make sure that we maintain it well, and really just give it a true purpose. And that's I guess what we can provide. But we'd certainly love to get active with it, call it home, and just get the community involved and really do as much as we can with it. I mean, we're not going to figure everything out here, but it at least allows my organization to sit down and kind of think about what we can do and some of the ideas that we can put together. So, this is essentially just a seed that we're planting now, and then the possibilities are endless. Moving forward. So, certainly hoping to make that happen, and look forward to representing the city and doing it well. So, thank you for the time today. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Best of luck this year with the season. Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, the speaker, for coming to speak. That's Mr. Jawad Yatim. He is the owner of the Massachusetts football team, the indoor football team that is going to be having an opening game on March 23rd. And Mr. Yatim says it all already. They're coming to the city. They want to make Lowell their home, even though the Pirates have been here in a short time frame, have not even played one game yet, but the owner, Mr. Yatim, he's been everywhere in the city, support all kind of organizations. He attended all kind of events in the city. So we really want to make the team our home team as well. And as he mentioned, it would be great to have some kind of development activity at South Common. Thinking, in addition to many things he mentioned already, it'd be great to have that field painted with the football lines, with the Mass Pirates logo. The residents that drive in and out along that corridor, it's really the entrance to the city and exit the city, as well as other tourists, as visitors. It's just a great look for the city to have that football field, to have that field in general highlighted. And, I hope we can get the support of the entire city council. I know this motion probably had to be referred to the Board of Parks. I would recommend this to be referred to the Board of Parks as well. So I hope everyone can support this motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to address my response to the gentleman that came up here to speak, and I want you to know we're very proud to have a sport come into the city. We're very glad you want to stay here. This is beautiful. Competition, entertainment, this is good, so don't be discouraged by what I have to say. But this council does not have the jurisdiction. It's the Board of Parks. There's a woman there named Haley Williams. She can help you to schedule. I did check into the South Common yesterday to see if it was available for such what you're asking for, and they're relatively booked up. So although they're booked up, I don't want you to be discouraged. They can fit you in somewhere, but you have to talk to them. So I want you to know that. Board of Parks, you go and you see Haley Williams, and she'll help you out to try to find you a place. It might not be the South Common, but they'll try very hard to get you in. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Don't be
sounds great.
discouraged. Because you know what it is? People from months ago already booked massive amounts of park space, in different parts of the city, like Shed Park. So it's very tight, but they can work with you and try to help you, okay? All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Gitche and Councilor Robinson. Councilor Gitche?
I'd like to make a motion to forward this to the Board of Parks.
Sure. Great. Board of Parks. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I think this is something that we've all been looking for, realistically. I think there's an opportunity to take a troublesome place and turn it into a gathering space. And I think, in a way, it's a blessing to see a new sports team that's going to be probably one of the biggest draws in the community looking to take this place as a practice facility. And as was mentioned, even above and beyond their personal needs, they're extending an opportunity and an open arm to the community by offering to potentially work with our youth and run camps. So, I mean, I think this is a no-brainer. I can only hope that the Board of Parks will accommodate this request, because this isn't about one league generating revenue to pad their pockets. This is about one league investing in our community and extending an invitation to our community. So, I mean, what better way to get acclimated with your new home than to get out in the neighborhood and meet your neighbors? So I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think this is hopefully an opportunity that we cannot let get away. What the Pirates have done so far before they've even played a single game in the city has been very impressive with our youth organizations. And if we can find a way to keep that going, and if the South Common works, I think they're in for a lot of improvements that have already been made to the park. And hopefully we can, Mr. Manager, with your assistance of your team, and get over to the Board of Parks, we can get this started. I know that the season starts in a couple of weeks. Mr. Yatim, if you have a quick second just to tell us opening night and a little bit about the program.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, as we already mentioned, we're new to the city, and it's certainly a thrill to be here. It's one thing to play in a city, and it's one thing to be embraced by a city. And then we're feeling that, embracement. We're feeling the reception, and it makes us want to represent the city and everybody here that much more. In a perfect manner, in a good manner, and yeah, we're working hard. It's a quick turnaround. We've had 4 months to put everything together, and but it's coming along. And opening night at the Tsonga Center is March 23rd. We're playing Jacksonville, and we want to get things kicked off on the right note here. We're riding a 7-game home winning streak in Massachusetts, and we want to keep it going. But, we represent the state of Massachusetts, but we're doing it right here in Lowell, and we're excited about it. So we're going to continue to work hard, and I can't stress this enough. We want to be as involved as we can with the city. We want to do as much as we can. We want to give back. That's one of our main purposes is, utilizing this platform to make as big an impact as we can. It's not strictly all about wins and losses, even though that's, what we like doing. But, it's really about, how much of an impact can we make? Leaving a legacy and making a difference. And I'm not just saying that, we mean that. So anything we can do, please reach out to us. You could always visit our website, masspiratesfootball.com, and, you'll find a way to touch base with one of our departments in regard to how you can get involved with the organization, how we can get involved with your initiative and your charity or your organization. It's how we operate. So it's not just a bunch of chit chat, that's real life. And then we look forward to growing and getting involved. So
Great. Stay right there. Councilor Gitche?
Do you have room for a running back?
Yeah, come on out here.
We got Councilor Leahy. He
right.
used to run at Popwana, so he said he would absolutely be your running back.
All right. We'll get an
Extreme
answer.
C division. Extreme C division, okay? Right, yes, yeah.
Well, I don't know. That might not be good on our workman's comp. So, but we'll get an entrance physical for you. And, we'll get you going. So.
You just sold some tickets. Yeah, good job. That's right. Yeah.
Well, we
done.
appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you.
very
Best of
much.
luck.
I appreciate it.
See
Thank you.
you soon. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Motion by Councilor Gitche to take 6.5 a vote out of order, seconded by Councilor Chow. 6.5, accept a gift of AED machines from the Adam Keenan Foundation. We'll waive the full reading and a second reading. By title, okay, we'll go right to it. We need a motion to adopt by Councilor Getchia, seconded by Councilor Leahy. Ms. Golden, did you want to say a few words? 6.5.
Thank you, Mayor, City Manager, and councilors. So this is a great gift that was given. This actually was a motion last year by the mayor, and this came from the DeMar Hamlin incident that happened with the Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, a football player had a cardiac arrest on the field, and this is where the mayor had made his motion to have AEDs on the fields. And we had, unfortunately, in the city of Lowell, had an incident in the past, and we had, the Keenan Foundation has, in the past, given AEDs. So Doreen Burgess had reached out to the Keenan Foundation and put in an application that was approved, and we have received a donation of some AEDs for the fields, and we have the Keenan Foundation, the members of the family here, and we have received 5 AEDs for the fields that will be going out soon, and we have Mrs. Keenan, if she's available to speak about it. So I'll let her speak about the donation that she has, that the foundation has given us, and the great work that they do. I'd have to thank the mayor for this. I'm not sure if anybody had co-sponsored this. Maybe, did you co-sponsor this? Possibly?
Sure. Why
I don't
not?
know. It was a year ago, but this is great, and it's near and dear to my heart because being a registered nurse, I just feel that everybody should know CPR and know where the AEDs are. And we spoke about this, and knowing where the check mark is on the AED, being 5 feet tall, the check mark is right where my eye level is, so I always know where they are. But I'll turn it over to them to talk about this great thing.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, I'm Audrey Keenan. My husband Michael's here. Adam's sister, Christine. Adam's second grade teacher is on our board also. Ellen Conklin from the Shaughnessy School, and she's now with the STEM. And this is Mike Slobin. This is Adam's good friend and teammate from UMass Lowell. Adam suddenly passed from cardiac arrest at a baseball game, at his first baseball practice in Rochester, New Hampshire. We don't know if an AED would have saved his life, but there was not one at the field. There was, by the time they called the EMTs to get there, it wasn't enough time. So we all knew that we needed to do something to ensure that this doesn't happen to another family. You don't want to go through this. So we knew we wanted to keep his memory alive and to establish this foundation to give AEDs to our community. And we're honored to give these 5 AEDs. We want to give more. We're doing fundraising. We had a wonderful softball tournament. I was able to donate this, but I want to thank also Allison Perrin from the American Heart Association. She reached out to Doreen and our city manager about doing this for us. We wanted Shed Park to be our first donation. It didn't happen, but this is our 23rd AED that we've given to our community, and we can't wait to give more. So thank you for accepting these life-saving devices for our city.
Thank you, Mrs. Keenan. Adam is known to more than one city councilor up here, and to do this in his memory, it's very special. Councilor Getchia.
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Last Monday, we had the opportunity of using an AED at the school. It gives a lot of hope to a lot of people in a time when you don't think there's hope. The person didn't make it, but everybody on the scene felt very comfortable with using it, and until the paramedics got there. And I think it's amazing how you've brought to light this piece of equipment and how it gives people hope, and it actually saves lives. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you saw a record, Mr. Clerk, the motion was from myself, Councilor Getchia, and Councilor Robinson, but that's neither here nor there. That being said, need a roll call for this, please.
Council Yam.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota. Council Getchia.
Yes.
Counsel Janess. Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke. Mayor Rourke, excuse
Yes.
me. Counsel Scott.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Councilor Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could we, while we're under suspension, could I do 5.3, please?
Great, yeah, I just wanted to thank the Keenan family once again for all your work that you do in the community and for your donations that actually saves lives. Thank you very much. Thank you. What was the number again, Councilor Mercia?
5.3.
5.3, the appointment of Richard Demers, motion to accept 5.3 out of order by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Noon. 5.3, communication, the appointment of Richard Demers to the Council on Aging, motion to adopt by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Noon.
He's here. Did you want to say a few words, Richard?
I'll wait.
Hi, my name is Richard Demers. I'm a lifelong resident of Lowell. I currently live in Lisa Lane in Lowell. I lived the first 15 years of my life on Warden Street right behind you. My house is where the new high school is. And as a child, just a thing I remember, I used to pick worms out of the Monument Square to go fishing. I appreciate you appointing me. I've been working with the seniors for some years. I started as bingo chairman and joined the Friends of the Coalition on Aging. And when I saw there was possibly a vacancy for the coalition, I figured it'd be a good fit for me to be on both boards to be able to get things done for the seniors. I appreciate your consideration. Thank you for the honor.
Mr. Demers, thank you for your service to the city. Thank you very much. That being said, Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Counsel Yem.
Yes.
Counsel Chow.
Yes.
Counsel Dakota. Counsel Gitchia. Counsel Janess. Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Noon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Scott.
Yes.
8 yeas.
Thank you.
Great, excellent, thank you. Back to Agenda 5, communications from the city manager. 5.1, motion responses. A, adopt an island. Councilor Yem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have a speaker, Mr. Clerk?
Which number was it?
5.1 or 5A.
Yeah, Henry Marchand.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. When Councilor Yem had called me about this, he had asked me to come down and share any thoughts I may still remember from my time in working on the Adopt an Island program. And I did read the response, and I think it was a good response. I don't know if it's being revived or if it's rebooting, but it was a great program that got citizens and businesses involved in helping the city maintain high visibility areas and entranceways. And I think that there's a lot of great spots and a lot of great, as we've seen tonight, community people that are willing to put into the time to make it even better. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I did share a draft that we had way back in 2011, and it was accepted and done a little bit different. So I don't know if that helps at all, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them or provide any insight that I might remember after 20 some odd years, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. You remember, Connor.
Thank you. Councilor Yem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Henry. I did reach out, and he provided me with the draft, and I also make it available to everyone tonight so that you can take a look at it. And I appreciate the motion response. However, I feel like the city can make some condition, and I understand the concern about the safety issues for high traffic area for the islands, and then certain area like the JFK with the Sergeant Roos, Chris Roos Memorial Statue that has to be maintained by the DPW. The point that I'm trying to make is, and I'm hoping that this motion will establish three things. One is to create an attractive, welcoming oasis throughout the city, as stated in the Adopt an Island application. It's beautiful written. If my colleague indulged me to read quickly, It says that the City of Lowell's Adopt an Island program provides opportunity for companies, civics group, institutions, and individuals to adopt a traffic island or other public space and create an attractive welcoming oasis throughout the city. And that's what the purpose of this motion in speaking with some resident in the neighborhood. Number two, I'm hoping that the city would relaunch this Adopt an Island program, working in conjunction with Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce and other stakeholders, including business owners and residents of the cities. And number three, it's helped reduce the DPW and park department staff. You know, on a motion response, say, oh, this is the responsibility of the DPW, the park, and all of that. But among other things that we require DPW staff is a lot. So, but if we can get the residents, the businesses to take on the small responsibility to maintain, and I think it's a great way of getting people to get involved and own the ownership. And then maybe the city can also recognize some business owners who sponsor the island in the newly Lord Overpass, because it would be good for them to have their name as a heavy traffic area, and they will be managed by a professional company to take care of it. And the same thing for individual. For example, for the JFK Plaza, I would like to see it's individually sponsored, but the city can put requirement that those areas need to be maintained by professional landscaping companies, things like that. Because some people want to be part of it, part of the city, do something, they don't mind to pay the landscaping company, and the city can do that. So that's the reason why I'm putting this motion, and I would like to see that the city would then adopt it and then relaunch this program. And then lastly, each island that adopted, we can judge them, and then the winners, first place, second place, third place annually, and they would win like a gift card from Lowe's or Home Depot, things like that. It's a way to show pride of the island that the business owner and then the homeowners, residents adopt the island. So that's my hope. Thank you, and thank you so much, Henry. So hopefully the city will take this and then look over and then incorporate all of this into a new program, an application. Thank you again.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Robinson?
Thank you. I think my colleague brought some good points forward. I like the idea of a competition between adopted islands. Friendly competition kind of drives a sense of pride. On a practical approach, when I worked in the Parks Department, we worked on the other side of the Adopt an Island program. And I think it is a great program. Perfect example, I'd say, would be Central Street, where Supercuts used to be, the big island in the center of near Espressos. Now, that was adopted for quite some time by one of the banks or something, and I mean, it was meticulously maintained. It was absolutely amazing. But you saw the instant they pulled out, it wasn't even realistic for our employees to try to keep up with that now. So that's one of the challenges we face with this. Maybe if we're looking to adopt islands, it has to be for at least a complete season, so it gives us time to go out and find an alternative group or people that can maintain it for the following season, for one. For two, these fees here, I mean, I think it's a good starting point, but again, these are from a draft of March 2011, and I think we need to take a look at two different price tiers. I think if we're talking to commercial or business, it should be a different tier of pricing as opposed to residential. I think, obviously, a bank is going to be able to maintain or pay more money for a prime piece of real estate within the city if they're using it as an advertisement spot, whereas I notice a lot of our residents just adopt smaller islands in memory of, or kind of memorial pieces for loved ones. So I think that's something else we need to take a look at, because it doesn't make sense to have one standard price when we're offering commercial advertisement on city property pretty much for some of these organizations. Thank you.
Councilor Getcha?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Through you to the city manager. The Lord Overpass Island piece, it says it's not accepted yet. The Lord Overpass, is it accepted or is it not?
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilor, not accepted. Currently, right now, DPW is maintaining it, so I'm not understanding that not accepted.
Well, what it says in the memo is, in addition, the contractor is responsible 60 days after the acceptance. So it leads me to believe that it hasn't been accepted yet. And I think that's what we're getting over there. I think the assistant city manager is saying it's not accepted yet. It's on the second page, right? No?
I apologize, Councilor. Not accepted to be adopted? That's because currently, right, we wouldn't put that area out for just, say, $1,000.
No,
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm misunderstanding.
I'm looking at the contractor. So the contractor, have we accepted that project yet in full? Because if we didn't, it says in this piece that the contractor is responsible for 60 days after the acceptance and 2 years of the trees and brush. Yeah.
That's right. So it's substantially. I apologize, Council. Now I'm understanding where you're going with this. It is. It's been substantially completed. DPW is controlling it. If that's the question here.
Well, substantially completed doesn't mean it's fully accepted, right? So they should be maintaining it before the acceptance and 60 days after the acceptance, from what this is saying. And it says also 2 years of the tree maintenance and shrubs. So if that's the case, then why are we sending over the Parks Department? Shouldn't they be responsible until it's fully completed? Or is substantial completion your completion?
Substantial completion yields that we are in charge of it.
Okay, so
now,
the whole thing is substantially completed, because I didn't get that from here.
No, it's fine. Minus the lights, that's the only outstanding thing left on the Lord Overpass project. So the light bus situation for turning lanes, that's continuing. And then I think there are still some final financial closeout things that we're working with MassDOT on. But as far as construction related work, the project is substantially complete.
Okay, so when we talk about that, when we looked over this summertime, we saw the shrubs and the trees were not being maintained. So that's their responsibility for 2 years as written within here. Can we just make sure that they're following up on that? Because that's a big drain on the Parks Department to maintain those shrubs and trees.
Mr. Manager, all valid concerns. Could you just have a report next week about all this,
that's
please?
all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Good stuff. B, motion response, mass hire grants update. Councilor Noon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, very good report. Thank you, Mr. Managers, and I believe Shannon Norton and her team have done a fantastic job. I mean, just last year alone, FY 2023 served over 7,000, almost 8,000 job seekers, and working with many partners. So, the list go on here is very impressive, and also having all this website and bi-weekly newsletters and so on. So this is awesome, and I wish her continue to build on this and her team. So thank you for the report. I'm very impressed with the work that Shannon Norton and her team have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mr. Norton. Good to see you. Motion response C, Smith Baker. Who wants to go first? Register speaker first.
Dennis McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Dennis McCarthy. I reside at 216 Foster Street here in the city. I just want to say that I'm really grateful that this motion has been filed and that I'm here to address our beautiful Smith Baker Center. I'm sure it's with a heavy heart that everyone in this room sees one of these options as the demolition of this building. I felt compelled to speak out on my support of finding a developer just because I would regret not doing it if I didn't come tonight. One of the things that struck me with the two options is the definition of zoning and historic restrictions. This building has 3 parking garages in close proximity, so I don't see parking as an issue. The building itself is a very large structure, 70 feet wide, in some areas larger, by 120 feet long. I could easily see a plan that would include up to 60 plus units, being about 500 square feet each. And to preserve that facade on Merrimack Street would be such an important piece for the cultural richness of the city. I would just love to see something happen that would define the developers' goals and objectives a little more clearer. Something similar in my mind to the wonderful work that was done by the planning department for the Hamilton Canal District, where the form-based zoning exists. So the developer would see that he could or she could put dormer windows in the roof structure to provide for 5th floor units, or put balconies on the south or the east or west sides, or could remove all of the stained glass windows and that would be allowed, or do a complete remodel of the structure down to the foundation, with the exception of preserving that street facade on Merrimack Street. I just would hope that we could reach out to and find a developer that could preserve at least parts of this edifice for the cultural richness of the city that has done so much to preserve our older structures. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to allow me to speak. Thank you.
Councilor Yam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the speaker. You and I have the same passion to love the building and the historical features of it, particularly the interior. You have the stained glass windows, and then you have the railing, the balconies, and the beautiful. And this probably would be the last historical building in the city, because a lot of them a lot of them knocked down. There's a church on Gorham Street across the street from the registry. The older registry of deed was demolished, half of it. So my hope, the same thing, and I pray and hope that, someone come along, be able to restore, some of it or most of it, and then make it into a housing unit. That would be really, really great. Yeah. Thank you.
Councilor Robertson.
Thank you. I definitely think the opportunity to create housing, whether it's smaller units, studios, 500 square foot, whatever we can get in there, is a welcomed addition to the community. How we go about that and make it practical, I mean, we've been talking salvage, we've been talking saving, we've been talking preservation, we've been talking repurposing for quite some time. Since I've been on the council, and a lot longer before that, it's been discussed. If you look at the motion response timeline-wise, we're both similar time frame. I think the whole notion of going out to see if we have anybody interested in coming in and repurposing, there's nothing guaranteed. And now you throw the component of HUD being involved as well. They have jurisdiction over pieces of it. if a proposal comes in, based on what I read in this report, potentially HUD has to accept some of the pieces of that too. So we could be back at step one if we go that route. I think realistically, to get more housing stock into the city as fast as possible, I think it only makes sense that we really start looking at option 2 on this report. And I would be supporting option 2 in this report at this point.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Councilors, we were hoping to go option A and option B simultaneously. That way, if somebody did come with that long ball that said we're going to buy it tomorrow as is, which is the most important piece to this, and it was a project or something that DPD had thought was worthy, and we would have to make sure, and I don't want to speak for the assistant city manager, but we would want to make sure that somebody that was going to buy it as is had the finances to back it up, whether it be housing or something like that, Councilor. So once again, the goal, I think, from my initial discussion, was not to just go in one direction, but go into both directions to make sure that this was available in an as-is position, where we would put it out on the central registry to find out if there would be somebody available, but at that same time working through the unfortunate piece on B, on the demolition vote, and so on and so forth. So my understanding was from the last 2 meetings ago where we were at, was that the council's wishes were to try to throw that long ball one last time, but at the same time move towards what I don't believe anybody here really wants to do, but it's something that I think necessitates us to move in a quick manner. I hope I understood the council's wishes correctly a few weeks back.
Yeah, and you did. I thank you for that response, but something in that case, it's a little confusing to me, because under, let's see here, under the first proposal timeline, option A, appraisal 322, submitted 325, published on Central Register 4/3, responses due 4/17 of 24. Now under option B, demolition order and vote is slated for 326. So we would be taking a vote on 326 for demolition, but yet responses for any of these projects wouldn't even be due until 4/3. So that's a little bit confusing to me as far as time frame goes. Technically, we would be voting to demolish if that's the direction the council went before responses were even due.
Ms. Myers-Rose?
Yeah, I think that we were just trying to move both of the paths as fast as possible. And so assuming that the council would vote on an order of demolition, we could still pursue the other option and just not move forward on that demolition. But it would, by taking the vote, it would allow us to start the process with the paperwork for the Mass Historic Commission, which can be a very lengthy process. And if they come back, which it's very likely that they would, asking additional information, it restarts their 30-day timeline. And so I think we'd present the RFP for the property, being very clear that the city is pursuing multiple avenues and that this is one choice, and that, we would, if we found if we received a response that was reasonable, feasible, financially and timing wise, that we could put the brakes on option B at our discretion. And I think we'd have to be very upfront about that in any kind of RFP language that we put out, just being very clear that we're kind of trying to see what's available. But, an order of demolition doesn't necessarily mean we have to do it immediately. And if anything, it just allows us to get that paperwork in front of MHC. So that was really the reasoning for that kind of overlap in timing.
Thank you for that clarification. One of my concerns is this, though. We're already in March. Realistically, we all are well aware. If it goes construction or if it goes demolition, from, say, May through September, this area is very busy. Pedestrians, I mean heavy, between Spanish festivals, folk festivals, you name it. The parades for the baseball, we have to be mindful of this, or else we're going to be 8 months down the road, 9 months down the road, and still have a structure that's failing. So, I mean, timing-wise, we're getting into an area where I don't know what the time frame looks like from start to demolition or start to construction or whatever it's going to be, but we can't have pedestrian foot traffic like we do at Folk Festival, pedestrian foot traffic like we do at the baseball parade, or any of these other events that we host at JFK Plaza all through the nice weather, and trying to be demolish or do anything major to a structure right there, I think, for our own best interest, in my opinion. Thank you.
Councilor Leahy, then Councilor Gitche, then Councilor Young.
Thank you. So just a couple of questions. When you say you put it on the register, that goes out across the United States?
Mr. Manager?
Yeah. That's a Massachusetts central registry. Wouldn't stop anybody from looking at it.
But it would be, people would most likely look at it throughout the country? I mean, we want a wide
Very
scope, right?
good possibility, sure.
Okay. And then the only other thing I didn't notice either is, so if we say we voted to demo it, we still have to pay HUD back the fair value?
Ms. Vaz-Rose?
So the HUD issue is complicated by what the final use of the property is going to be. So in a world where the property is demoed and anything but affordable housing, subsidized, restricted affordable housing built by a nonprofit would require us paying back HUD the fair market value in today's value. But in a world where we wanted to demo the building but have a nonprofit organization do new construction and they're going to do affordable housing there, that would be consistent with HUD and what their goals are to create affordable housing. And so we would not be required in that sense, in that instance, to pay back HUD anything. We wouldn't even have to pay them back the original investment that they made in the property.
Okay. And in that case, if we were to strip it, would it be worth our while to go through the property first to sell off windows and woodwork and all that? Because that's what the demo company's going to do anyways, so why should they reap the rewards? Is there any thought into that yet?
I think in any scenario after hazardous abatement is done, so we know there's lead and asbestos in the building, so after that abatement's done, I do think it would be in the city's best interest to work with folks that are familiar with salvaging in historic properties to remove important artifacts from the building and potentially recoup funds. It's something that's done often in historic buildings, and I think it would absolutely be in the city's best interest to do that if we were going the route of demolition, for sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, quickly.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilors, I just want to make everybody aware there may be a potential that the final dollar figure that we spend on the demolition and everything else may not actually equal. That we may take this particular property down, we may have the ability to pull some monies out, but at the end of the day, when we go to resale, it may be a net loss financially, not necessarily from the perspective of the ability to have additional housing or whatever the case may be, or the ability to maybe keep the front facade, which would be one of those good opportunities I think we would all appreciate. But this is a financial transaction. I truly believe this, unless something else happens, that it might end up being a negative from our side. So we may spend $2 and we may only get $1 back. So I just want to make everybody aware of that, considering the size, the scope, and the potential demolition for the future.
Just quickly, before we go to Councilor Gitche, is this something we want to send to a subcommittee for further discussion, or do you want to decide tonight? I mean, just throwing it out there. It seems like there's even more information than on the response that we received, cost-wise and other things. So if know if it's a finance subcommittee or if it's a downtown economic development type of deal, but just throwing it out there. Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Mayor Rourke. Well, first off, HUD should be giving us money if it's based on value because it's a negative. I mean, you got the hazardous waste in there. You have a building that's basically a cost. If they want to take it, we'll give it to them. So that's the thing. The appraisal is going to come back as a negative. It's not going to, on our books, it's a negative. It's not a
I
positive.
might mean to interrupt you, go right back to you again, but it's a very valid point, right? Is that something that I think we need that information as well?
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking the question, because it's really a negative. It's not a positive. And back in 1975, does anybody in here know exactly how much money we took from them? Is it the total of the 85,000? It was the whole portion? Yeah, so tell them to take their building and make it safe for us. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're looking at this and we're looking at cost and we're just looking at safety, we just had a building fall down. Have we had a structural engineer even look at that building yet? That may be something we want to do tomorrow. Because if that building falls down on somebody, as we just saw in a building on the walkway, we're in trouble. That's the only reason why we're here discussing this. It's not against historic versus demolition or, like everyone's trying to pit this. It's about safety concerns in our city. And it's our job to make things safe. And if it's HUD's I think we should put an emergency letter over to HUD and say, here we are. I mean, it doesn't, I think we're complicating it much more than maybe it needs to be because of that reasoning. I do agree with the speaker. If there's a way that you can get that fixed and it can be viable in a neighborhood, great. But I don't see it, and I think the cost is too much for the city of Lowell to obtain right now and to make it structurally sound. It's just, how long would it take to get the funds in grants to repair that building? What'd you think? Have you ever seen a building that size get those kind of funds?
Ms. Baez-Rose?
Yes, but generally over the course of many years
Many.
A historic tax credit process or something like that if they were going to build housing.
Yeah, and we truly can't afford it as much as we sit here and we talk and talk. And I'm wondering if there's an option C that the city just go to HUD, say, here we are, we'll pay to take it down, and we don't need any money. But, I mean, if they're going to put us on the hook for a value, then where's the value back? And they're really, realistically, I agree with the mayor that, there's no money there. So any way we look at this, it is our job to make sure that's safe. So in my opinion, tomorrow morning, there should be a structural engineer over there looking at that building and making sure that side of the building is not going to collapse on somebody or somebody's car and do some damage. As crazy as that sounds, we just watched the building do that. So, again, it's on all of us, and we're sitting here wondering, and I would agree with the speakers on option B is probably the only option, but I would agree with the mayor. If you want to send it off to some subcommittee to talk about that's what your jobs are. Your job is to come back to us with a plan and say, here it is. I mean, we have to do this. So I think subcommittee is going to take too long, but I'm with you if that's the only route we have to take. But I think that we have to make a decision, and it's an important decision on the city. Thank you.
Okay. So how fast, Ms. Baez-Rose, could get the information that Councilor Getchia talked about through HUD and other councilors?
So we've already talked to HUD. We've had many conversations with HUD. They're very black and white as far as their view on expectations for redevelopment. So essentially, as I said, anything short of affordable housing with a nonprofit, we have to pay them back. So that's why DPD's already pulled the trigger on getting an appraisal on the property. We're working with a local appraiser who is very familiar with the building and this community. So we're hopeful that appraisal will be fair and accurate. And then we'll bring that information back to HUD. But it's we're kind of already on that as far as.
So why are you doing all this? We can still take a vote to demo it. Why you're still doing this in case some godsend comes down for an alternative? Does that make sense? Ms.
Yes.
Haynes, is that your plan?
Yes.
Is that the proposal you're saying?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The proposal, as I understood it from the council 2 weeks ago, was we're going to go in two different options. One was exactly what we talked about in the second one. Thank you, Councilor Robinson. We were talking about that actually earlier, making sure that we can pull that back. I know it doesn't sound right, but we can actually indeed pull that back. if an angel investor were to decide to come in and purchase this for $1 tomorrow and showed the appropriate ways and means, financial commitments to DPD, they'd be more than happy to have it. A dollar figure, I should say, not
So,
$8.
man, is this something that we have to put on the agenda for an actual vote for the council? I believe, correct?
For the demo?
Right. So get that for next, council, get you for next week?
And just one other thing, have we stressed to HUD how it's an emergency situation at this point?
We've had many conversations with them about it. We have a new HUD rep that we're getting to know a little bit better, but the recent conversations have included myself, the deputy director, and our community development director with our HUD rep to try to lay out the exact situation.
Could you please just emphasize it's an emergency need at this point? We have homeless people going in there. And we definitely can't board it up enough to keep them out, so that there's a balance here in that building. And I'm worried about firefighters. There's a lot going on over there. That's all. Thank you.
So motion on the floor by Councilor Gitche, second by Councilor Robinson for a vote for next Tuesday.
Yes, please.
All those in favor say aye.
Real quickly, I had one more comment on this. So if we did have to pay back HUD, what is that 85,000? Is that what we would have to pay back? Or today's price?
Baez Rose?
So it wouldn't be like an inflation of $85,000 in today's value. It would be the fair market value of the property today, which is why the conversation about the existing conditions of the building and the fact that we may need to pay money to demo it and abate it, for example, might weigh into what that fair market value actually ends up being.
So we don't really know that figure from HUD yet, but we can get a better idea.
So the appraisal is being done by us, and then we have to provide it to HUD. So I think the schedule said that we're expected to get it back on the 22nd. So DPD's already engaged the services of an appraisal for that particular piece of information.
Excellent, thank you. So, I mean, I have one concern, though. If we do move towards demolition, I would hate to put ourselves in a corner. Meaning, if we're going to demo that, level that block and have a vacant lot, I don't want to be tying our own hands, so to say, and have to go with a nonprofit developer that wants to do it only to avoid paying HUD. I think if we're going to go that direction, it should be wide open, because we're going to need to see a realistic timeline, not a group coming in saying we'd love to do this, but we need to fundraise. Like, I think if that's a vacant lot, I don't want to just restrict potential developers to say nonprofits looking to do affordable housing, because we're kind of confined to what we have to pay back HUD. I think if we get that down to a vacant lot, it's prime real estate in the city, and I think it's a great opportunity for anyone that has the means to produce, provide what we're looking for. So that's the only concern I would have, is trying to handcuff ourselves so we don't have to pay HUD. I mean, if we're going to make that decision, which is unknown yet, I think we all have to be mindful of, if we make the decision to demo, let's not restrict potential developers from coming in.
Mr. Manager, I think that was the original plan you had when we first started the conversation, correct? All right, so
That's correct.
There's a motion on the floor for the vote for next week. So made by Councilor Gitche, second by Councilor Robinson. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. D, the Burns Clock Tower. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A great report, and if we could be kept posted as to when the what the vote was. Wait a minute. You caught me by surprise, and I wanted to know if the Monument Committee, what their vote is.
Motion response E, Baseball Parade 2024. Councilor Gitche, Councilor Robinson. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm just glad to see year two. I think we were all beyond pleasantly surprised when Councilor Gitche and myself put this motion forward last year. And I mean, I don't think I can recall outside, I mean, shy of the folk festival when it used to be held over here, I don't think I recall that many families and kids and people in our courtyard area. And I mean, I think it can only go and get better from there. You know, that was amazing. In the sense of pride that all the kids and the families had, it seemed like everyone had a great time. So I'm glad to see this is coming back.
Lousy weather too, right? So hopefully this year even more. Yeah. Counselor, get you?
It was like catching lightning in a bottle. We hit a home run with this one, so I think that a second year is great for the city. Thank you again for all your efforts.
Motion response F, thin out vegetation. Counselor Robinson.
Thank you. I attended the Centerville Neighborhood Group action group meeting last night. I'm not sure of his rank. Is it Captain or Damaris? Captain Damaris was there. Again, I kudos to him and his team. I love the way he presents. He doesn't hold the punches. He's straightforward with information. Again, I think this is something that is going to help many different allies and community partners in what we're challenged with. I think from the co-op teams to those providing resources, offering opportunity for help to people, our police department, just everyone involved in these efforts. I think small things like this go a long way. And by thinning out areas ahead of spring that are known to gather the type of people we're trying to offer resources to, it allows everybody to be able to access that and feel a little bit safer and keep the area cleaner. I think, as many are aware, some of our areas that even if they're no longer active with unhoused communities or whatever else, the debris that's left behind, and partly due to the overgrowth and the brush is so dense and thick that it's nearly impossible to remove that kind of debris. So, I mean, I thank you for this, and I'm looking forward to these spots being lifted up and thinned out.
Great. Motion's response is completed. 5.2. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Lee. Apologize.
A quick question through you to the manager. With this report too, could you just get back to me on the trail on the other side of the Bridge Street? I had that motion on. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. 5.2, informational report. Winterfest, Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Very excited, obviously. I think that making the move that this council has talked about, and that has been to engage the Middle and Palmer Street area for future, what I'm going to say is success. I know that both nights that I was down there, I'd seen every councilor down there having a good time and enjoying themselves, but I want to say thank you very much to Peter Crew and everybody from Case, and I know Peter has a few things he would like to say, but I think kudos to Case and to all the folks here that made it happen. So Peter, please, Mr. Crew.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Michael, too, if you wouldn't mind switching the screen as well. Thank you. Yeah, I think overall Winterfest was a tremendous success across the board. We got fantastic feedback from businesses, residents, participants, all really appreciating the move to the new location. So we wanted to just take a brief moment tonight and sort of recap what we did this year, and as we look forward to next year as well. And that is the goal sort of what we wanted to do with you this evening. So yeah, Winterfest 2024 was our first move to a brand new location. We've never experimented with doing it downtown at the intersection of Palmer and Middle Street before. And it really worked out well in terms of what that was. I want to emphasize that it would not have been possible though without the support and partnership with Enterprise Bank, and they're making their facility available to us really made it possible as being sort of the center of open space downtown. It was really sort of vital to that, the success of it, and it worked out really well. We also really were able to forge sort of a new relationship with St. Anne's as well and get them actively involved as a partner in what we were doing. And they were also, of course, very pleased to see the event move back downtown. Real quickly, some of the key features from this year. Winterfest always features live entertainment and music. We had 12 bands this year from a variety of genres. The soup competition was a huge success. We had over 700 people come this year and appreciate that. This was the third year in our partnership with Mosaic Lowell, bringing the youth mural competition. The murals are now featured downstairs, as well as the arts market that featured 19 vendors from across the city. They did phenomenally well, and they're continuing to see sort of growth in that. Also meeting our goals to bring more opportunities to Lowell artists as well. Working with some of our partners too, we also brought in new things like fire and ice sculptures, which proved to be really popular and help transform downtown and really make it sort of an immersive experience for people. And I want to give a shout out too to UMass Lowell. If you were at the event, all of those sort of Adirondack chairs that were there around the fire pits, we borrowed those from UML, and UML provided all those for the event and really did a great job. And just to sort of recap the festival footprint for you all, it really worked out. We were very pleased with how well it worked out in this location. People really found it easy to navigate the area. The downtown business core got back to us with a tremendous amount of feedback and a tremendous amount of bump pushed both by us and by all of the new events and the games happening at the arena that weekend. You can see up on the screen now sort of a quick recap of by the numbers effectively of what Winterfest looked like. Really, again, across the board, a really sort of fantastic event. Also, we'll be hosting the Winterfest reception. Will be coming up the 19th, so a week from Tuesday downstairs. We invite people to check that out. And now I want to turn things over to Diandra, because we also experimented with a lot of new marketing initiatives this year, and she's going to sort of talk through that part of it as well.
Yeah, so this is just our approach to marketing for Winterfest. So our primary objective was, of course, to increase attendance. So we implemented a very targeted promotional campaign to reach a wider audience, not just locally, but regionally. And we also made a point to increase language access with multilingual materials. So all of those rack cards with scheduling information, with the map, to show where everything was. We were able to present those in Spanish, Khmer, and Portuguese, in addition to English. Our secondary objective was to use this as an opportunity to boost partnerships. So ways that we could cultivate those partnerships with local businesses, with local organizations, and also leverage those marketing efforts to expand our reach and influence beyond what we were already doing. In terms of audience, as I mentioned, we were looking locally and regionally. So specifically families with children seeking wholesome entertainment, local residents looking for a reason to get out, and also those regional attendees who were looking for those cultural events and live entertainment that would bring them into the city. And our key messages, so, we do this just to stay consistent, to make sure that we're sharing the same message across the board. Always cheerful, warm, and inviting, and conveying that this was a family-friendly event, and we would encourage everyone to bundle up and come join us downtown. So this is an overview of the channels that we pursued. So in terms of media and events, we had our local press partnerships. We put out a press release. We did several ad buys. I'll get into the specific channels on the next slide. We also had a few on-air visits with our local partners at WCAP and Inside Lowell, and we were able to include some key organizers and performers from the event to really give them a platform to talk about what they were bringing to the event as well. We had some really exciting collaborations, including with the Women's Professional Hockey League. So Lola Bear attended Wednesday night's game before the festival and was able to promote Winterfest coming that weekend. In turn, I know many of you saw we had players who were able to attend our opening ceremony and do a little meet and greet. So kind of working on that partnership more to promote each other. They actually did a discounted ticket rate for Saturday's game. So we were really able to fold that into like a Winterfest plus. Like there were so many events happening during the weekend in the neighborhood as well. We also, speaking of the Massachusetts Pirates, Arthur was there on Friday night as well as Saturday, so that was really exciting for families to be able to interact with the mascot. They had a couple of cheerleaders there as well. So again, looking at those local partnerships to support each other in the events that are coming up. Something that we experimented with this time around was Spotify. With the live music being such an integral part of the event, it felt like a really natural channel to test out, to find people who enjoy live music and cultural events who would want to come to Winterfest. This was actually interesting because it performed well above typical benchmarks for that channel. And it's largely a passive medium. And what I mean by that is people listen on their phones or on their devices. They're not necessarily looking at their phone, or we wouldn't expect them to click on an ad to then continue onto the website. But they did. So that was really nice to see. We were able to target from Boston to Manchester, New Hampshire. So we got a really good regional coverage. Also, we did Facebook and Instagram. So this was a very conservative spend. We just wanted to kind of test the channel and continue to learn as we go and build on what we had already done over the past year. And this was neat because, of course, with social media, we can target by demographics and psychographics. So people who are interested in cultural events, people who are members of families, who have kids that they want to take out. And something else that I want to highlight with this was during the event, this was the most user-generated content I've ever seen created during events. So we were constantly trying to reshare that and highlight that and really thank people for putting out those pictures and videos. So this is just our spend summary. So we spent about $5,700. So Spotify, some stats for you. But again, those clicks and click-through rates look very low. But a typical click-through rate for a Spotify ad is 0.05%. So we more than doubled that. So that's really notable. Social media, we had a really great paid reach. That was when we look at the total reach from the month, it was a 250% increase year over year, and a 67% year over year increase with visits to our Facebook page compared to the year before. Radio, we did a 2-week buy with a 30-second spot. Another neat thing about Spotify is that when you buy a campaign with them, they give you the audio to use, and you're free to use it anywhere you like. So we're actually able to use that audio in our radio buy. So hopefully you're getting that frequency and people are hearing the same message again and again, and they learn Winterfest is February 16th and 17th. It's going to be in downtown Lowell, so they get to kind of make that part of their plan for the weekend. LowellWinterfest.com is where we send everyone prior to the event. So just to look, we had about 27,000 visits over the course of the month, which was a 457% month-over-month increase, which we would expect. But this was a good deal higher than it was last year. We had 23,000 unique visits over that month and 58,000 page views, meaning that people were visiting and sticking around and clicking around to learn more about the event. And I thought it was interesting also in terms of geography, that more than half of those visits were from Massachusetts, but only about 3,000 were from Lowell. So we really were attracting a regional audience and getting more people interested in coming to Lowell for Winterfest.
Thank you, Dandra. So yeah, I think just a quick recap. Overall, for this new experiment with a new way of approaching Winterfest, it was hugely successful across the board, both with our new mix of legacy events that have been around with us for a while, in terms of also introducing some new folks. And I want to emphasize as well that Winterfest isn't just a case event, it's a City of Lowell event, and it would not be possible without the support of DPW, Parks, Fire, Police, Development Services, the Manager's Office, Treasurer's Office in this case. Ted came in and helped us out at the last minute. It really takes a citywide effort to do events of this size. And Case is really grateful to all the support we get across the board from folks as well, and around the community as well. And with that, we want to share some community feedback, and Diana and I would also be happy to take any questions or comments from you all as well.
Great. Councilor Robertson?
Thank you. I would just like to say kudos to the city administration. I mean, I have to say, this is the first time of any event that I've seen the city put on that on the recap, not only are we seeing, you know, all the positives that we're aware of, but I love the fact that they're breaking down what was spent marketing, advertising, what the frame of mind was to go out, who they were targeting, and then the results. I think That's what a real comms department is. And I think this administration put that together. I think Case is doing a great job, so I really applaud your efforts. And I'm looking forward to future events because, again, I mean, it's one thing to put an event together, word of mouth, and just say, yeah, it was a good success. But when we can see there is a really focused, specialized game plan to go out and really make that concerted effort to showcase and build that platform to what our city has to offer, and then we're seeing feedback. I mean, I think it said 45,000 impacts on the social media for a paid campaign, and that's just one Ave. Like, when you start seeing numbers like that for certain events, that didn't come out of anywhere. That came from the Case office, and I really applaud you and thank you for those efforts. Thank you.
Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I agree that that's a great presentation to Peter and Deandra. In addition, that's a great way to phrase it. It's not just a Case event, it's a city event. And in addition to the various departments, also on behalf of the entire council, of course, to thank the partners like the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, the Mosaic Lowell, the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce, and there were many partners and other sponsors as well that have made it great. And as the previous councilor spoke, this is one of the first time at an event like this that I heard people saying, I can't wait till next year. I cannot wait till next Winterfest. So it's a great success all around in terms of planning, collaborating, the presentation here, but most important on those 2 days of event, Friday and Saturday, it was just so great. So great job. Congratulations to everybody.
Great. Anything else? Councilor Yem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo my colleagues' praise of the excellent works. In addition, it's a big economic boost for the local businesses. I, for one, was at Fuse, and then food trucks and places at Fuses are packed. And then people not from Lowell, but every place else, they want to find a place to warm up, so they get something to drink and eat. And the food truck, I tried it. It's wicked good. The food truck is really good, the fried. When it's cold, the fried tastes really good. So congratulations again. And lastly, I want to thank our police officers, firefighters, first responders who were there to protect everyone, to keep us safe. So I really appreciate their hard work the whole night and 2 days. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Yum. Peter, you had just, outstanding event, very well done. A lot of preparation that was put into it. Can't thank you enough, the 2 years, for shuttling me around all weekend to different events that I was a part of. At some point in time on the weekend, every councilor was in attendance and came down and checked it out. Compared to last year, this year's was 100 times better. Again, thank you for all your hard work into it. Extremely, extremely well done, and I look forward to next year. So well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Take care. 5.3 already took care of. 5.4, communications. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. First, we need a motion to accept all the responses and information report. Accept the place on file by Councilor Leahy, second by Councilor Mercia. All those in favor say aye. That motion passes. 5.4, communication, resignations from Sustainability Council. Motion to accept the place on file by Councilor Noon, second by Councilor Robinson. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, motion passes. 5.5, reappointments to the Sustainability Council. We have three: Michaela Hundress McCarthy, Cormac Hundress McCarthy, and Anna Christina Fragoso. We need a motion to adopt in place by Councilor Robinson, second by Councilor Yem. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Yem.
Yes.
Councilor Chow.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota. Councilor Gitchia.
Yes.
Councilor Janess. Councilor Leahy.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Noon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Councilor Scott.
Mr. McCarthy, you standing in for the family tonight? That's right. Yeah. All right. Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
there's a resignation on this agenda. I think he'd like to, Jay Mason, I think he'd like to say something. Would you, Jay, come on up here? And thank you for your many years of dedicated service. Thank you.
Jay Mason, 415 Pawtucket Street. Thank you, Rita. It's been a long time since I first came here and advocated for sustainability. It's exciting to see now that the city has adopted a sustainability division. It's really exciting that we've taken that charge and we're going to execute that responsibility and show our neighbors in the Merrimack Valley what Lowell is capable of. It has never ceased to amaze me, the power and the opportunity and strength that the city exhibits around these kinds of challenges. And believe me, this is a huge challenge, and I've been beating that drum for long enough. I'm going to stop now, and I would very much appreciate the city to support our sustainability division. And Catherine Moses, she's going to do an incredible job, just like she's done as energy manager these past 6, 7, 8 years, 9 years. So I just want to kind of transition to the sustainability division and thank Michaela Huntress McCarthy for stepping up and being chair of the sustainability department. She is also going to do a phenomenal job. She works with Mass Green Consumers Alliance, and she has just got an incredible background and experience level and passion for this activity. So I'm looking forward to seeing that happen and for the city to continue to set, as I say, an example for the Merrimack Valley. Thank you very much.
Five point six, communication. City manager requests out-of-state travel. Lowell Police Department. Need a motion to adopt by Councilor Chow, second by Councilor Yem. Roll call.
Council Yem.
Yes.
Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota. Council Getchia.
Yes.
Council Janess. Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Mayor Rourke.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Section 6, votes to the city manager. Motion by Councilor Noon.
Can we bundle it?
Mr. Mayor, can we bundle
Thank you, Councilor.
1.6.1 to 6.8?
Got it.
If anyone want to speak on any of this, they can do so, because this was recommended by the chair of the Finance Committee, Councilor Scott, to approve. So
Motion by Councilor Noon to bundle, second by Councilor Yem. All those in favor say aye. Motion passes. 6.1, vote 150 Middlesex CPC funding recommendation. 6.2, Mass Mills 4 CPC funding recommendation. 6.3, Project Vlahos CPC funding recommendation. 6.4, Suffolk Place CPC funding recommendation. 6.6, authorize city manager execute agreement with Select Energy Development LLC. 6.7, authorize city manager to project funding agreement 2021. 6.8, vote to authorize the city manager to execute project funding agreement 2022. Need a motion to waive the full reading and adopt by Councilor Robertson, second by Councilor Scott. Comments?
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
I don't mean any disrespect with what I'm about to say. I hate to preface it that way. I know a lot of work went into what we received, but please, how many of my colleagues read this? Because I didn't. I scanned it. Someone went through a lot of work, and times 11, not that it weighs 35 pounds and I can barely even lift it, but the fact is, couldn't we just have a synopsis? I know all the work that went into this, but I don't care. I don't care about all that. I want a synopsis. This is how much money times 11, how much does a package of paper cost? I know that you want to give me every information. I don't know about schematic designs and the square footage of the perimeter of I don't know that. I don't need this. Are we going to do this again? Please don't give me this. I don't want it. Someone went through a heck of a lot of work needlessly, because unless I'm the only one that didn't read it, this is a little bit too much, and I don't want to see it again. If you want to give it to the others, fine, but this is ridiculous. A synopsis would have served just well. I'm sorry to say it, but I had to get it out of my...
It's just my guess, Council. I think we.
And I'm going to go to a chiropractor tomorrow because it weighed a ton on my back. But anyway, be that as it may.
Probably open ourselves up to a bunch of open meeting law violations. That's probably my guess if it's not written and executed that way. But I guarantee one person did read it all. It's Councilor Gitchia. So if you want to say a word, Councilor, go ahead.
I might have wasted my time, it looks like. But, you know, again, if this is something that we can, if we have so many pages to the people who do get the hard copies, if we can just say it's online, I think that's what Councilor Mercia may be getting at, is we did meet the open meeting law because we put it online. So if we just send over the councilors a sheet at the end, these are many, many sheets, and you can just look online, I think that would probably be suffice. I think that's what Councilor Mercia is trying to get at.
Maybe just a link, Mr. Manager?
Having it, but
Councilor Mercia, thank you very much. I think that everybody in the other room is very excited about what you just brought up. But we had discussed putting up a synopsis, a one-page synopsis, but also just putting it online. So once again, we're just trying to give all the appropriate paperwork. And if anybody is in need of this in the future, when we've had some pretty big packets in the last couple of months, so we'll if somebody wants it any differently delivered to their home, just let us know individually. But other than that, we will put the synopsis together and, as Councilor, as you were discussing, put it online.
well, the police officer came to my door. I said, "Is this a joke or what? What is in that package? This is not the agenda. No, it's not happening."
We have a select group, Council, that likes to file violations all the time, right? So that's probably why.
For the first time,
I like Councilor Gitch's idea.
For the first time, I didn't get it on Friday, so I was away and I read it online and then reached out on Monday. So, I mean, online's the same thing. It's just, you know, there's, I guess, as Councilor Mercy is trying to eloquently state, there's no need to print this many. If there's that many, just let us know in the packet. You know, go to the website for these. Thank you.
The votes were, motion was made and seconded. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Council Yem. Council Chow.
Yes.
Council Dakota. Council Gitchia. Yes. Council Janess. Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Noon.
Yes.
Council Robinson.
Yes.
Council Mayor Rock.
Yes.
Council Scott.
Yes.
It's 9 yeas.
Section 7 reports subcommittee this evening, March 5th, 2024. Senior Citizen Subcommittee, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the second meeting. We were supposed to have the first one, but because of that massive snowstorm that never took place, it was canceled. So I have it this evening. The director of the Senior Center, Kim Gagnon, was here with MIS Director Moran Fernandez, Assistant City Solicitor John McKenna, Health Department, Health and Human Service Department Director Lisa Golden, Assistant City Manager Sean Machado, Commissioner of DPW Paul St. Cyr was here, as well as Councilors Paul Ratha Yem and Councilor Vesna Noon. This was a very important meeting. We tried to do the best we could. Almost 1 year ago, a cyber attack of the city's municipal network knocked phones, email, financial, human resources, assets management, and revenue systems, as well as other ancillary services like dog business and marriage licenses offline. We're nearing the end of this phase. They would hardwire installation. The MIS's department intention was to bring phase 2 soon, and it'll take about 2 or 3 weeks. That's what we heard from before, but the Lowell Police Department entire project will be wrapped up and online in about 10 weeks. These are some of the things that my colleagues didn't hear because I had investigated what was taking place. When the cyber attack occurred, many factors took place. We had to secure the pieces back together, wireless pieces, network pieces, and internet pieces, and put them back all together. These pieces had to talk to each other. There were elements in each piece that had to be replaced to maintain security. We were looking for the same level of service while simultaneously making the system more able and better while making them secure. We were managing the system for the public, private, and personal entities, and we have best practice brought to access points in different areas of the city, the senior center, the health department, waste, water, city hall, etc., on laptops, cell phones, computers, etc. We have engaged a third-party vendor who has done this work in the past to make all the pieces work. This did not go out to bid because it's a state contract, and lengths of time for everything to be compiled was due to the delay of hardware being delivered. Some parts traveled here from overseas, and that added to the time to secure licenses was not too much of licenses were not too much of an issue. Nothing is ever guaranteed that it won't happen again, but the question is not could it happen again, but when. The vendor's work should be completed by the end of March, so expect to have the work, have the location on live between the end of March to mid-April. The senior center is parallel with City Hall as quickly as possible, but there is an update on this of which we heard today that this is the setup is already in place, and as far as they told us, the senior center is up and running as of today. They had dozens of people that were already hooked up to the internet, so this was quite a great setup that we saw. Now the next item so the Wi-Fi is up and working at the senior center, and I asked Kim Gagnon, the director, are you happy with what we have there? And she's very pleased, so thank you. That is going very, very well. The second was the heating and cooling duct at the senior center. They set up a scissor lift staging that will be, it'll be set up probably tomorrow, and it should be cleaned once a year, Councilor Gitchia said. He also attended our meeting. It was very good that they're going to work on it. I believe it's probably our obligation to clean that, but the landlord is going to do that, so that's a good thing. We talked about the machine that the Friends of the Council on Aging bought. However, it had the wrong disc scrubber type of thing. I'm not familiar with all this, but they getting the right proper one. Unfortunately, though, we bought the machine, but we didn't train anybody to work it, so that was a problem. But Paul St. Cyr and the people from the city that came down to help the floor get straightened out, so that's pretty clean. It had a lot of thick layer of wax on it that built up, so you had to kind of eliminate that. As far as the heating goes, they talked about that and different aspects of that. I asked a question. I thought it was over 20 years that we don't have the part of the, when are we going to buy this and acquire it? We will talk about that in an executive session, so I don't want to really get into something that I really shouldn't talk about. If any of my colleagues have anything else to add, John Dakota, of course, is in Florida, so we had Eric Gitchie. Eric, if I forgot anything on this report, please weigh in on it. It was a very interesting meeting. Things are getting done. The ducts will be cleaned very soon. I never knew what a scissor lift was, but I guess I got an idea about it. But anyway, so that was very interesting. We talked about the camera. Oh, I just wanted to say one more thing. There was Lynn Daly came in before the meeting started, and she gave me an email that she received from a person, Joe Smith. Joe Smith was very interesting. He said the things that he was concerned about, and he delivered it to her, who gave it to me and the committee. So he talked about that there's no Wi-Fi, and we talked about that. We talked about heating and cooling the ducts. That's going well. He also talked about cameras, and they need film. There's no film that actually goes in it, but anyway, we have the cameras already available. We just need to have them, the newer version, hooked up. He's saying that there's no library, but they do have some library service available. There's not enough parking, he says. Well, probably not, because it's a very popular place, and they have a lot of things that are happening. So if Eric has anything to add to this, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Getchia?
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Mercier hit on a lot of it, and just through you to the manager, I think that Assistant City Manager Machado has a list that came out of there, because when they started talking about cameras, they got to be hooked up to a network, and they should have some bandwidth that we can look at. So I think that's something that we can go back to Moran and try to, and I'll send you a company in the morning that does a lot of that stuff. But when we also looked at the structure of who people report to and how it works. And again, I think this is another case where we need a facilities department. We have a custodian reporting to a director of council and aging when she should be doing other things than look at custodial staff and stuff like that. But we truly have to have somebody in there who's going to inspect the building and make sure that things are up to par, because when we walk in there and we say it's dirty, then it's really dirty. And I think that as we look at some of the homeless people who are sleeping out there while people are trying to come in and out, I think we have to figure out how we can move them away so that people can experience the senior center in a way that it's designed for. They're using the bathrooms and making a complete mess. When I went in there, they were a complete disaster. So I just think that some things we can do better at, and I think that that's what Assistant City Manager heard most of the stuff, Machado, and I think he's going to get on it. And the scissor lift and cleaning up there, most of the damage that's up there was because they didn't clean it. So it is their responsibility, and I thank your team for negotiating back and forth, and I thank the owner. They don't have to do this stuff, and I wish that you would send out a thank you to them for actually coming back. But I do think that as Assistant City Manager Machado is sitting there, we can put together a maintenance plan for the building, whether it's the HVAC systems or you start looking at the floor care or the walls, and even the eatery, when you go in there, and how cleanly that is needs to be looked at also. So I do think he's on it, and I thank Councilor Mercier for standing up for the seniors, as she always has and continues to do, and she goes down there and looks at everything, because most of us, by the time we get out of work, the senior center is closed, and I can't thank you enough for that, Councilor Mercier.
Motion to accept the report of progress by Councilor Mercier, second by Councilor Getchia. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Section 8, petitions, 8.1. 3, property damage claims. Motion to refer to Law Department for a report recommendation by Councilor Robertson, second by Councilor Scott.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor.
Through you to Manager Golden, could you thank the DPW? It looks like we're starting to catch up on some of the pothole claims, and they've been reduced. And some of these are from January on Chelmsford Street when I read through some of them. So I think I just want to say thank you to them for getting out there. And I do think as we maintain these roads, we'll see less and less potholes going forward. And hopefully we can get better at reducing potholes in general and not having to worry about that and use our resources somewhere else. But if you could just please thank them.
Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I definitely will thank them, but as I had committed to the council, we'll be having another update on what has been going on as far as the tonnage and everything else that we've been using, probably by next week, just as a quick informational, so everybody understands the amount of work that's being put in, and I'll make sure DPW knows that.
I'm
Council. Thank
hoping
you.
that your maintenance plan is going to reduce the tonnage down to next to nothing, and we can spend the monies on that end. And as we watch
few
all
years,
of these things
Council.
go this way, we're hoping to see that bell curve go the other way. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilor Leahy.
Very quickly, when Counselor gets through you to the manager, when he was speaking about Chelmsford Street, could we just take a look at that again? We're right, that section where the cars all come out of the, so we're always filling that with potholes. So that would be a good opportunity this summer to do a 2 by 15-foot section and saw it out and repair it, so next year we're not constantly filling potholes. Thank you.
Motion was made by Councilor Leahy, or seconded by Councilor Gitcha. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion passes. Section 9, announcements. Before, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make an announcement about a fundraiser for playgrounds to be built by Where Angels Play Foundation in memory of 3 children, Callan, Dawson, Cora. They were deceased, and they're on Saturday, March 9th from 3 to 7 at Cobblestone's Restaurant and the Lowell Firefighters Club. They will have fundraisers where you could drop your change off just to help to build these. We have people in the city that Where Angels Play, they're involved with this group, like people like Larry Finn, firefighter, Kevin Jones, a former firefighter. They go to different places and they build these playgrounds. They do a tremendous job, and they're having this fundraiser for that purpose because they're going to build this playground in memory of these 3 children. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercia. Before we get to Councilor Yam, this Saturday, before you go to Cobblestones to give to that organization, this Saturday at Seabrook Beach at 11 a.m., we have the Key Family Polar Plunge. They've been doing it for a number of years now. This year, they're going to honoring Nick Logan. Coach Logan was here earlier tonight. He's the coach of the girls wrestling team at Lowell High School. The Logan family has 3 kids, but due to a recent tragedy, they have taken on 4 others, their nieces and nephews. So they're a family of 9. So the money raised this Saturday morning will go to that family and other costs and care that goes into having 7 kids now. The plunge will be held at the corner of Hooksett and Ocean Boulevard. Registration will start at 11 a.m. with the plunge being at the plunge itself at noontime this Saturday. So last year I represented the council by going into the water. So looking for a representative this year. Councilor Gitchia and Leahy were there, but I didn't see them go in the water. So hopefully they'll take the reins and jump in this year. But it's for a great cause. Coach Logan's he's a teacher over at the Lowell High School, special needs teacher, and does a bunch of extra things for the city. So come out this Saturday and help support them. So Councilor Yam.
On behalf of the entire City Council, we want to wish 2 wonderful people a happy and healthy birthday. Our City Manager Tom Golden and City Auditor Kelly Oak. Happy birthday.
We didn't have enough candles, so that's why there's no candles tonight.
Oh, man.
I'd have to pull a fire permit, Councilor.
That being said, motion to adjourn by Councilor Nunes, second by Councilor Mercer. Good night.